Originally, narrowboats in the UK were used to transport goods along the British canals, efficient and an important part of the British Industrial Revolution. But today, the waterways are dominated by leisure boating, with over 15,000 people who call the waterways home. In today's episode, I'm taking to the water myself and meeting the people who give a new meaning to the phrase, whatever floats your boat.
Meet Amy and Wes from popular YouTube channel Boat Time UK. They, along with their adorable dog Rufus, live full-time on a 50-foot narrowboat named Gregory's Girl, cruising the UK waterways. They've allowed me to hop on board for the day, and they've even promised to let me drive once I get the hang of it. First, we've got to get the boat through the locks near the marina, their temporary home base, so we can take to the open seas, or canals, rather.
What is this I'm holding?
Oh, so this is a windlass, and that's basically kind of like the lock key, how you crank them and like work the locks. That's my favorite one, so no pressure.
No pressure.
So this is kind of the lock chamber where the boats go, and that's kind of how you can see why narrowboats are so narrow. They have to fit into these, and then these are the gates, so because the boat just came down, they're already open.
I'm really scared I'm gonna mess something up.
Okay, so Wes giving us a thumbs up so we can close the gates.
Got it?
Yeah. It might be heavy.
But before Amy shows me exactly how I can help, let's zoom out to take a look at the UK canal system. The UK canals, as they stand today, are mostly based in England, a connected series of waterways that grew out of the Industrial Revolution to support the absolute economic powerhouse of the British Empire at the time. It was a reliable and easy way to transport goods in large quantities around the canals using horse-drawn boats. Later on, diesel-powered boats would come along and put the horses out of business. The peak and the true golden age of the British canal system was between the 1770s and 1830s. Canals were all the rage. But something happened in the 1840s that changed everything. The speed of the railways started quickly putting canal companies out of business. And then, in later years, surges in road transport hastened a further decline of the waterways. Many were either used as landfill sites or completely built over for houses. The last regular narrowboat commercial contract ended in 1971. But leisure boaters were starting to take notice. As the commercial contracts were declining, the recreational groups, first started in 1946 as the Inland Waterways Association, were bringing back interest to the canals by those who wanted to use them to carry themselves and their dogs, not coal or goods. By the 1970s, many canals were beginning to be restored by volunteers, and this more romanticized love of the canals helped many live life differently and at a slower pace. Amy and Wes learned about the narrowboat life from channels just like theirs, as well as some narrowboat holidays before they decided to buy their own. It's easier with two people rather than one. You need one to manage the locks along the canal and one to drive the boat. But today, we've got 3 people. I'm not sure if I'm going to help or hurt their cruising efficiency, but Amy seems confident I'll be able to pick it up quickly as she teaches me how to manage the locks.
So now, to be able to raise the boat,
Yes.
we have to let in some water into this pound. It's quite stiff. There you go. So it gets a bit, yeah, there you go. So then the water is coming from here.
So we've just let it in from the side pond into...
and then it's going in here.
We've got a series of locks to tackle on this part of the canal, near Droitwich Spa Marina, so I do my part racing up and down to make sure Wes and Gregory's Girl have the water levels they need to keep moving.
Oh my gosh, I need to work out my arms.
It's really stiff. That's it.
People at home are gonna be like, this girl, this is hard.
It's harder than it looks.
Okay. Oh my God. Oh, jeez. What they don't tell you is it's slippery down there.
Nice, that's it.
Professional.
Now that we're finally cruising, I get a chance to talk to Wes, who's currently in charge of steering.
So we're currently on a boat ride together, but we're also in your house at the same time.
Yeah.
But what's the why for you? Why are you on a boat and not in that house over there?
just wanted some sort of adventure. We were both working full-time jobs, we both kind of saved up a bit, and we started to look at like mortgage advisors and things. And we've always moved around quite a lot in rented accommodation, and we sort of realised that we kind of had to pick somewhere to settle down and spend like a lot of money on, and potentially like a lot of years like deciding where to live, and nothing just really felt right. We looked at van life for a while, but again, like with the pets, we weren't sure if that would be good enough, and we still needed to hold down like a full-time job as well. So that's when we kind of like stumbled across narrowboats on YouTube. Oh yeah, I was watching this one.
So you knew nothing before you guys started?
Pretty much, yeah. Like we did a fair bit of research into like the important stuff about what we needed to know to buy a boat and live on it, and we sort of looked into a bit about the history of the canals as well, just as like a way of respecting a community that we're kind of like planning to become a part of.
There are all sorts of fascinating things cruisers come across, from old tunnels with barely enough room to fit the boat through, to unique lock systems, plenty of wildlife, and all kinds of conditions. I've just come out for the day, but Wes and Amy live on the boat almost 24/7, minus trips to see family or the occasional holiday, like anyone who would leave their permanent residence for a short while. And that's what intrigues me the most. What is life really like on the boat? How does it all work? Where do you sleep, and what's the shower situation? Amy agrees to give us a tour.
So this is the kitchen. We have our like full oven. It's just a normal one pretty much. We've got our sink, we've got like a filtered drinking water tap, because we store our water in a tank, so that just gives us extra filtration. Have a fridge. The fridge and the freezer is like small, that can be hard to get used to, but it's fine. And then just kind of like our electrical cupboard, things like that in here. So this, I wouldn't say, yeah, this is the office area. So this is kind of where we work, edit our videos, and sit. We wanted a full desk set up, because you can have like dinettes, which are kind of like a dining room table, but we wanted like a dedicated workspace where it was always set up. So we went for this.
So do most people who live on narrowboats like work from home, i.e. work from something like here?
I don't think it's as common. It's definitely getting more common, but you kind of get a lot of people that are retired on the boat, so I guess they don't need like a workstation. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of people out there that do still work from the boat, and it can work quite well.
And how does your internet situation work?
So we've got an aerial that we stick on the roof, and it's like a 4G, which kind of goes into a router, and then it's like normal Wi-Fi. You just have to make sure when you moor up, you're testing that your speeds are good enough, because sometimes you can moor somewhere and there's no internet.
So it's like choosing a hotel based on whether it has like amenities, Wi-Fi. You just choose where you moor based on what's going to work for your...
Yeah, well, before we moor up, we'll test the internet and then decide whether it's good enough.
21st century boating.
Yeah, this is my favourite. It just keeps us cozy warm. So we can burn wood and coal in this. And yeah, it gets the boat really, really hot. We love it. And these fans just help to distribute the heat, because it's obviously got 50 foot to go. So it just distributes the heat more.
And it's really nice and toasty.
Yes, we need to top it up a little bit, but we've got the coal going, and it's nice and cozy.
Okay, so we've just swapped sides, and now we're in the living room?
Yeah, so this is our living room. We wanted a really big, comfy sofa.
This is like quite a normal sized sofa for people who aren't here in person. This is like, you guys have really maximized the space.
Yeah, we wanted it to be able to kind of lay on it, be comfortable, and when like we have guests, it's kind of like the same size as a single bed. But yeah, that's one thing we really didn't want to give up, is like a big comfy sofa. So we're glad we was able to fit that in. And then we have our tiny little TV, which when you're sat really close, it doesn't look that small.
And then do you keep these open in the summer?
Oh yeah, this is one of our favorites. So it's the side hatch.
Oh.
Open it up, and it's just so nice because you can feed ducks out there and like see. Yeah, it's lovely.
What a nice view. There's a whole, I didn't even realize this was in here. There's a whole bathroom.
So we've got our cassette toilet, our sink, and our shower is behind the door in there.
This is a nice sized bed.
So it's a small double, so it's not too small. It's Yeah, we squeeze.
Again, I think people would be really surprised coming in here how much you can maximize the space. I think they'd be really surprised because when we were coming in looking from the outside, I don't think that I pictured that you could fit this much in.
Yeah, I always find it quite surprising. When you look at it from the outside, you think like there's a bed in there, there's like an oven. It is quite impressive how you can fit things in, and like the boats are really customizable as well. So we haven't done much with our layout, but you have people that will kind of have a whole king size bed filling this room. Yeah, you can customize them kind of how you like, or 2 single beds either side and a walkway in the middle.
And you've got a whole wardrobe.
Yeah, so this is we kept it open because it just made the space feel a little bit bigger, and then we've got some fairly big drawers in here that we had built and stuff, and then more drawers there.
Narrowboat life does differ person to person. Some like to cruise the waterways constantly, like Amy and Wes, while others prefer the marina life, where they can have a more permanent home base to make it easier in case they need to access things like doctor's appointments or local family and friends while still living aboard their boat. And now it's my turn to try steering the boat. It's done with something called a tiller, which is tiller in my accent, sounding more like tilla in the British pronunciation, one of the funny quirks of living in the UK as an American. And this device is very simple. It's just a long horizontal bar attached to the rudder that allows you to move the rudder to turn the boat. That doesn't stop me from being nervous I'm going to crash Gregory's girl though, so I ask Wes for some lessons.
I'm really bad at driving my car, so I'm wondering if you could teach me how to drive your boat.
Yeah, it's not too bad. We're going dead slow, and I can grab the tiller if you need me to. The main thing to remember is that it's counterintuitive.
Great, awesome, yeah.
So if you want to go left, you push it to the right, and if you want to go to the right, you push it to the left. Okay, so if you hold on to this, you can push it like a fair
how much
way.
oomph should I put into it?
Yeah, maybe to like here.
Okay, yeah, this is good.
And then it's like a little bit delayed, but now you can see that the boat's starting to turn. And then you can sort of bring it back to straight.
Got it. Also, Americans don't take driving lessons. I just want you, it's not required. Just to let you know.
Isn't it?
No, it's not required. Don't worry, it's fine.
How
do you see over the top of the boat to see what's happening?
You don't really.
Okay, this is good, you guys.
So like some boats, you're higher up, so you can see over it. But ours is actually quite high.
You guys like to live dangerously. How many times have you crashed this boat?
Badly, probably like 3. Like badly, it wasn't too bad. It didn't cause any damage, but that was mainly due to like quite scary rivers and like flow and stuff like that.
Sure. Okay.
It's sort of like driving a car as well. Yeah.
Oh no.
So push towards me again.
Push. Okay.
Yeah, we're just throwing you in at the deep end here.
But I'm going too far to the other side.
Yeah, no, straight up.
Okay.
Towards Amy.
I feel like it needs a lighter touch than I'm giving it.
Possibly. The one thing
that was
is
a really nice way of saying yes. You're literally moving this boat so much. Please stop.
But yeah, like as long as the main thing is as long as you're going slowly, you'll be all right if you like bonk something. Like someone might come out and be a little bit angry if you bonk into their boat, but it's not going to cause any damage.
Okay, now I'm scared.
Yeah, you're all good. You're doing really well.
Yeah, but there's other people's boats coming up.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
All right, I'm getting stressed. You take over.
Yeah, sure.
I ask Amy for her final thoughts as the sun starts to set and we need to head back to where my car is parked. The boat might be spacious for a boat, but Wes, Amy, and Rufus don't need anyone else cramping their style.
Does Amazon deliver to a narrowboat? How do you get post? Like, how do you establish a life when you're constantly moving?
So when you're on the move, for Amazon, we use the Amazon lockers, which are really useful. You can get them from like supermarkets and order things if you need it. We rely a lot on the high street shops to get things that we need. So we tend to order as little online as possible anyway, and a lot of our bills are paperless. But for things that we really have to, we use families' addresses for letters and kind of important documents and stuff like that. Some marinas will give you a postal address, so that kind of solves the problem there. But when you're on the move, it is a lot harder. Yeah, we just kind of minimize it as much as possible, but when we do, Amazon lockers and families.
How does the toilet situation work on a narrowboat?
So there's 3 main types of toilets that you can have, and it's quite like a big topic within narrowboaters. Like some people are really passionate about one type and like the other one. So there's composting toilets, which is they separate the liquids from the solids, and then you can compost the solids. There's also cassette toilets, which is the one that we have, which they it's kind of like a portaloo. It collects it in a little tank, and then you have this box that you can empty at designated waste disposal points across the network. And then there's also pump out boats, where there's a big tank under the sofa or the bed, and then that can last kind of months at a time, but obviously you've got a big tank under your bed, so that's just a personal thing. But yeah, our cassettes last us about 2 to 3 days.
As we cruise the waterways, I noticed that Wes and Amy are always waving or stopping to talk to fellow boaters. Sometimes they're recognized, they say, from their YouTube channel, as the narrowboat community is very niche and tight-knit. But sometimes it's just because the community, particularly those who cruise year-long instead of staying moored, are a welcoming bunch willing to help each other out.
I think it's a really welcoming community because even though there's so many people on the waterways from so many different walks of life, different interests, you all have that one thing in common, that you just kind of want to do something a little bit different, get out there, and kind of like the love for narrowboats bonds people. So I feel like there's a lot less social pressure to kind of, people will just say hello and start a conversation. If you moor up next to each other, you're kind of neighbours for however long. So it's not uncommon for people to come out, help you moor the boat up, you get a little chat with them. If we're kind of in the engine bay, boaters will cruise past and say, do you need a hand? I've got this tool if you need it. It's just a really lovely, welcoming community. I feel like for new people, if you're kind of have the right attitude and you're willing to learn and you're just friendly, they'll accept you with open arms.
The sun sets in the marina and the engine is powered down. But the evening on the boat is just beginning for Gregory's girl. Dinner will be made, maybe some TV enjoyed, just like people in homes across the UK. Narrowboating for many is more than just an interest. It's a complete way of life. Even when they're not cruising, Wes and Amy are living and working on the boat. Some people might wonder if it's limiting or cramped or claustrophobic. But Wes and Amy would tell you that they've never felt more free.